Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the news from SABA Satellite Channel. From Marib, here are tonight's top stories.
Presidential Leadership Council reviews economic development, stresses accelerating reforms.
President Al-Alimi honors U.S. Ambassador for strengthening bilateral relations.
Presidential Leadership Council member Al-Arada honors EU and Dutch ambassadors at the end of Marib visit.
Welcome back. The Presidential Leadership Council held a meeting chaired by President Dr. Rashad Al-Alimi with all council members attending in person and virtually. The meeting focused on domestic developments, including progress in economic, financial, and administrative reforms, recovery efforts, service improvement, and strengthening security and stability in aiding and liberated governorates. The Council reviewed security briefings on developments in liberated areas and discussed measures needed to address existing challenges efficiently and responsibly. In this context, the Council praised security and military forces for efforts to track and arrest suspects involved in recent assassination crimes, reaffirming the state's commitment to combating terrorism and bringing perpetrators to justice. The Council also reviewed updates on financial and economic performance, implementation of the government program, budget execution, and plans to improve essential services. Members praised recent government reforms, including the formation of the Supreme Committee for Tenders and Auctions and the establishment of the General Authority for War-Wounded Affairs. The Council also commended Saudi Arabia's continued support, including financial assistance to the state budget and the extension of the Massam demining project and development initiatives supporting infrastructure and essential services across Yemen.
President of the Presidential Leadership Council, Dr. Rashad Al-Alimi, awarded U.S. Ambassador Stephen Fagan the Unity Medal of May 22 second class in recognition of his distinguished service during his tenure in Yemen. The honor was presented during a meeting in Aden marking the conclusion of Ambassador Fagan's diplomatic mission. President Al-Alimi praised Ambassador Fagan's efforts in mobilizing international support for the Yemeni government and people, as well as his role in strengthening bilateral relations between Yemen and the United States. The President also commended the significant progress in Yemen-U.S. partnership, highlighting Washington's continued support for the Yemeni people, constitutional legitimacy, and efforts to restore state institutions, security, stability, and peace. He further praised the United States' role in supporting regional and international security, protecting maritime routes, combating terrorism, and countering Iranian-backed destabilizing activities in Yemen and the wider region. The meeting also reviewed domestic developments, including government efforts on financial and administrative reforms, service improvements, and to strengthen security and stability.
Presidential Leadership Council member and Marib Governor Sultan Al-Arada presented commemorative shields to EU Ambassador to Yemen Patrick Simonet and Dutch Ambassador to Yemen Janice Sapin in recognition of their efforts to strengthen partnerships and support Yemen. The gesture came at the conclusion of their visit to Marib Governorate. Al-Arada expressed appreciation for the ambassador's visit, stressing the importance of continued engagement and similar field visits to provide a clearer and understanding of local needs and strengthen opportunities for cooperation and support. He reaffirmed the political leadership and government's commitment to enhancing partnerships with the European Union and international donors to expand development and humanitarian cooperation. Al-Arada also called for broader international support to help address the growing needs of displaced people, refugees, and host communities in Marib. For his part, EU Ambassador Patrick Simonet reaffirmed the European Union's commitment to supporting Yemen and strengthening cooperation, noting that the visit included meetings with local officials, partners, and residents. Dutch Ambassador Janice Sapin said the visit offered valuable insight into Marib's resilience and the efforts of local authorities in managing humanitarian and development challenges. She praised the resilience of Marib's residents and expressed hope for continued cooperation and future visits.
From the side of the Netherlands, the Kingdom of the Netherlands, we also wanted to thank His Excellency the Governor for a fantastic welcome we had here in Marib. Thank you, Excellency Governor of Marib, for welcoming us here, but also your entire team. and the population of Maghreb, population that has arrived recently or a shorter while ago. We were very impressed by all the meetings we had with you, Excellency, but also with members of the governorate, of the local administration, with members of the civil society, journalists, but also the opportunity we had to meet with the general manager and his team of, for instance, the SAFA company, and many displaced people and migrants that found a welcome and a place to stay here in Maghreb. It's really heartwarming to see how people are trying to build a life, how provisions are being made, and I think also there, as members of the European Union, we feel very close, of course, to all the contributions that the European Union makes, but I was also really happy to see the contributions that we have made directly as Kingdom of the Netherlands to Maghreb's development, to Maghreb's efforts in the field of humanitarian needs, and also to see how people thrive, how resilient they are, and how they are really trying to contribute to a peaceful future of Maghreb, but also of the country itself.
Presidential Leadership Council member and Hadramaut Governor Salim Al-Khanbashi reviewed efforts by the Yemeni Council for Medical and Health Specializations to develop and qualify medical professionals in the governorate. During a meeting in Mukalla, Al-Khanbashi met with Secretary General of the Yemeni Council for Medical and Health Specializations, Professor Athmar Ali, head of the Mukalla branch, Professor Amir Balafar, and Registrar General Isam Abdul Aziz. The meeting discussed healthcare conditions in Hadramaut and mechanisms to improve medical performance across the governorate. Discussions also focused on training plans aimed at enabling medical professionals to obtain higher qualifications through the council's branches in Mukalla and Sayoun. The talks included proposals to open new fellowship tracks, including professional doctorate programs, to meet the growing needs of the healthcare sector in Hadramaut. Al-Khanbashi reaffirmed the local authorities' commitment to supporting the council's efforts, stressing the importance of investing in human resources as a key pillar for improving healthcare services and ensuring long-term sustainability in the health sector. At the end of the meeting, the council's delegation presented Al-Khanbashi with commemorative shield in recognition of his support and efforts in facilitating the council's work.
Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Dr. Sheikh Zindani met in Aden with the head of the International Committee of the Red Cross Mission in Yemen, Christian Cipolla. During the meeting, Cipolla briefed the Prime Minister on final preparations for implementation of the prisoner exchange agreement and ongoing efforts by the ICRC to facilitate the process. Dr. Zindani reaffirmed that the government places special importance in the file of prisoners and detainees, describing it as a both humanitarian and national priority. He praised the role of the International Committee of the Red Cross in facilitating humanitarian procedures related to the file and stressed the importance of increasing pressures on the Houthi militia to engage seriously in resolving the issue. The meeting also discussed humanitarian developments in Yemen and areas of cooperation and coordination between the government and the ICRC to strengthen response efforts. Zindani also received a briefing on the ICRC's field programs and humanitarian interventions across multiple sectors in Yemen. For her part, Christian Cipolla expressed appreciation for the existing cooperation with the government and stressed the importance of continued coordination to advance humanitarian efforts, particularly on the prisoner file.
The Presidium of Yemen Shura Council held a meeting chaired by Council Chairman Dr. Ahmed Ubaid bin Dagher to discuss key national issues and regional developments. The meeting was attended by Deputy Chairman Dr. Abdullah Abu Al-Ghaith and Engineer Wahid Taha Aman, along with a number of council members. Discussions focused on political, economic and security developments, as well as ongoing efforts to address current challenges. Dr. bin Dagher stressed that the current phase requires unified national efforts and stronger support for the political leadership to confront economic, political, and security challenges. He reaffirmed that the Shura Council will continue its constitutional and national role in supporting state institutions and backing efforts aimed at restoring the state, strengthening security, and achieving peace and development. Bin Daghir also emphasized that peace remains the choice of the legitimate government presented by the Presidential Leadership Council and its President, Dr. Rashad Mohammed Al-Alimi. The Council praised government efforts to advance economic and administrative reforms, improve living conditions, and enhance essential services despite ongoing challenges. It also commended Saudi Arabia's continued support for Yemen, particularly in supporting the economy and providing fuel supplies for electricity generation.
Minister of Telecommunications and Information Technology Dr. Shadi Basra met in Aden with a World Bank delegation to discuss technical and digital support for Yemen's telecommunications sector. The delegation included digital specialist Isam Khayyat and senior digital specialist George Frederick. Discussions focused on the next steps for implementing digital transformation priorities and strengthening the sector's role in supporting development. Dr. Basra reviewed the ministry's efforts to enhance institutional, technical, regulatory, and oversight capacities, highlighting progress in improving institutional performance and readiness for digital transformation. He stressed that building strong and modern telecommunication infrastructure is essential for attracting investment, stimulating economic growth, and supporting sustainable development. The minister also outlined the ministry's technical support in needs in organization restructuring, capacity building, and policy development, alongside efforts to modernize regulations governing submarine gateways, marine cables, and fiber optic networks. For their part, World Bank specialists reaffirmed the bank's commitment to supporting Yemen, stressing that digital transformation in artificial intelligence are now essential tools for improving vital service sectors and accelerating economic recovery.
Minister of Water and Environment Engineer Tawfiq Al-Sharjabi held a virtual meeting with OECD representatives to discuss cooperation in water resource management and climate adaptation. The meeting included Mohammed Baraka, head of the Economic Resilience Project in Yemen, and policy analyst Sima Vara. Discussions focused on water management challenges, environmental policy issues, and future cooperation opportunities between the two sides. Minister Al-Sharjabi said Yemen faces major and complex challenges in the water sector due to limited water resources, worsening climate change impacts, repeated drought conditions, and increasing pressure on groundwater resources. He noted that these challenges are further complicated by weak infrastructure, raising operational costs, and difficulties in securing energy for sustainable water services. Al-Sharjabi stressed the ministry's commitment to adopting sustainable solutions, including expanding the use of renewable energy in water facilities and improving water use efficiency. He also emphasized that the importance of integrating water, environmental, and climate priorities into Yemen's economic recovery plans. For their part, OECD representatives reaffirmed support for Yemen's water sector and expressed readiness to cooperate on future initiatives aimed at strengthening institutional and technical capacities.
Maghreb Deputy Governor Dr. Abdrabbu Miftah, accompanied by EU Ambassador to Yemen Patrick Simon and Dutch Ambassador to Yemen Jenny Sabin, visited several displacement camps and migrant shelters in Maghreb. The visit also included inspections of humanitarian projects and initiatives funded by the European Union and the Kingdom of the Netherlands. During the tour, officials reviewed conditions facing displaced families, their growing humanitarian needs, and the level of services provided across key sectors. They also assessed the conditions of the African refugees and migrants, receiving briefings on services provided in shelter centers and ongoing efforts to improve living conditions. The delegation reviewed the progress of humanitarian projects, their impact on beneficiaries, implementation mechanisms, and future plans aimed at strengthening community resilience and ensuring sustainable support. Dr. Miftah said Maghreb continues to carry the largest burden of displacement in Yemen, hosting more than 61% of the country's displaced population, in addition to tens of thousands of refugees and irregular migrants from the Horn of Africa. He called on the European Union and the international partners to expand humanitarian and development support to help meet growing needs. The EU and Dutch ambassadors reaffirmed continued support for humanitarian response efforts and development projects in Maghreb.
Yemen participated in the fourth high-level conference of heads of counterterrorism agencies held at the United Nations headquarters in New York as part of Counterterrorism Week 2026. The Yemeni delegation is headed by Chief of the Central State Security Agency Major General Mohammed Aida, with Counterterrorism Chief Major General Shalal Shaya and Yemen's permanent representative to the United Nations Ambassador Abdullah Saadi. The conference runs from June 29 to July 2 and focus on strengthening international cooperation in counterterrorism and supporting implementation of the United Nations Global Counterterrorism Strategy. Discussions cover growing terrorist threats, including the exploitation of conflicts, governance gaps, and emerging technologies by terrorist groups. Yemen is set to deliver a statement during a thematic session on countering terrorism in conflict-affected and high-risk settings. The delegation will highlight government efforts and ongoing challenges in combating terrorism while emphasizing the importance of international cooperation and capacity building. The delegation is also scheduled to hold bilateral meetings with United Nations officials and participate in delegation to discuss ways to enhance cooperation and exchange expertise in counterterrorism efforts.
That was the news bulletin from SABA satellite channel from Marib. Thank you for watching and have a good time.
Have a good time.